Okay, let's jump right into this massive cyber warfare story today by pulling back the curtain on the explosive conflict between Sony and the hacking group Cyberleek. We're looking at a completely high stakes, dramatic standoff that sits right at the intersection of corporate strategy, consumer rights, and rogue digital vigilantism. It's a crazy story that has permanently altered the gaming landscape, and today we're going to break down exactly how it all went down.
But hey, before we get into the massive heist and the hacking, I need you to smash that like button and subscribe to the QC News Empire. Because this simple question, do you really own your games, is exactly what sparked the entire digital revolution we're about to unpack. For decades, a physical disc represented a permanent contract. You bought a game, you owned a tangible piece of software. But as you'll see, that era is coming to a very abrupt end.
2028. Mark this year down, because this is when Sony reportedly plans to completely cease the production of physical PlayStation discs, forcing a total migration to an all-digital ecosystem. That means no more disc drives, no more swapping games with friends, no more physical safety net whatsoever. It's a massive paradigm shift, and honestly, the reaction from the community was just absolute shock and anger. Look at how incredibly fast this escalated. First, the 2028 date leaked in July 2026. Then, right as tensions were peaking, Sony sent out an incredibly tone-deaf email reminding players of their terms of service in August. And by September, boom, all hell broke loose with the hashtag PS blackout and the devastating Cyberleak server hacks. Part 1. The death of the disc. The inciting incident of this entire war really begins with realizing what losing a physical disc actually means for your library. Right before the planned protests, Sony sent out this unsolicited email perfectly illustrating the corporate reality. You are merely renting access. Digital purchases are just limited, non-transferable licenses. And this isn't just a theoretical fear. This was made painfully clear when 500 Studio Canal titles were recently deleted from user accounts literally overnight due to licensing expirations. People who supposedly purchased those movies woke up to find them just gone. In response, the gaming community launched the hashtag PS blackout. The goal was to hit the company right in the wallet. Players were terrified that the safety net of physical media was being ripped away forever, so they organized. They halted all PlayStation Store purchases and totally boycotted microtransactions, demanding true ownership over their software. The tension between corporate convenience and consumer ownership was at an absolute boiling point. Part 2. Enter the Cyberleak Vanguard. Just as consumer frustration peaked, a mysterious entity emerged from the digital shadows to capitalize on the chaos. Calling themselves Cyberleek, they dropped a manifesto framing themselves as vigilante anti-heroes. They declared, "If Sony won't respect the consumer's right to own media, we won't respect Sony's right to keep its data private." They framed their massive hacks as punishment for corporate greed. They even targeted Rockstar Games because of rumors that the physical edition of GTA 6 wouldn't even contain a disc, just a download code. For a lot of frustrated fans, Cyberleak became a symbol of resistance. Part 3. Anatomy of a breach. But how do you actually penetrate a multi-billion-dollar tech giant like Sony? It's not like the movies where someone just frantically types on a keyboard. The reality is far more methodical. They used 3 specific vectors. First, they targeted communications using social engineering. Second, they exploited supply chain vulnerabilities, going through weaker third-party marketing or QA firms in Europe that had access to Sony's main network. And third, they allegedly recruited disgruntled internal whistleblowers who absolutely hated the digital-only mandate and literally handed over roadmaps to the network. Now, let's talk about session hijacking, because the simplicity of this primary weapon is absolutely terrifying. Using sophisticated phishing wars, they trick an employee into revealing an authentication cookie. Stealing that one simple cookie from a Slack or Microsoft Teams chat allowed hackers to walk right past Sony's robust two-factor authentication. The server totally thought they were a trusted employee. It is incredibly effective and almost impossible to catch until the damage is already done. Part 4. The crypto pump and dump. As we dig deeper into their classified dossier, Cyberleak's Robin Hood persona violently unravels. They weren't just noble activists fighting for your right to own a plastic disc. Security experts revealed the dark truth. The whole hack was actually an elaborate pump and dump scheme. They used the completely valid anger over physical media as a moral shield. By attaching their crypto wallet addresses to every major leak, they used the emotional outrage of gamers to artificially inflate their own digital tokens, the Cyberleak cryptocurrency. They totally monetized the fanbase's anger. So you might be wondering why on earth Sony is willing to weather this catastrophic PR storm, the boycotts and the hacks, right? why not just keep making discs? Well, this staggering data from Capcom gives us the brutal reality check. In their recent quarter, 93.3% of their sales were digital. Just 6.7% were physical. When you look at those raw economics, digital is simply too lucrative to abandon. The profit margins are way higher, it totally eliminates the used game market, and it gives publishers total control. It's a massive macroeconomic shift. Sony CEO Hiroki Totoki hit the nail on the head. Because of trade wars, supply chain issues, and declining profit margins on physical hardware, Sony is pivoting. They're prioritizing long-term software licensing and entertainment media over the highly expensive physical consumer electronics market. They are looking at the long game here, even if it really hurts in the short term.
Part 5. The future of ownership.
This leaves gamers totally caught in the crossfire. On one side, a corporation that wants to lease you your entertainment to survive changing economic realities. On the other, opportunistic hackers who want to exploit your justified anger to pump their crypto wallets. As we hurtle toward the 2028 deadline and the disappearance of the disk, you have to ask yourself, what happens when the servers inevitably go dark? When everything is just a license held on a server that can be shut down by a corporate lawyer or hijacked by a group like Cyberleek, the consumer is left entirely vulnerable. Centralizing all that power into an all-digital format creates a massive, singular target. It's clear that while the era of the physical disc is coming to a close, it leaves us all to navigate a very dangerous, completely digital future. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Think carefully about where your digital library lives today, and I'll catch you in the next one.